All right, so after watching my fellow classmates' videos, I would like to say that I think our thoughts kind of meshed well together. We like especially with chapter 3, we were kind of all just like shocked on like finding out more about Marvin Gaye's death. I think that's one of the things that were the most shocking for us, is to find out that Marvin Gaye bought a gun for his father and inevitably ended up being used for his own death. Um, and I think there was someone's video who mentioned, like, if Marvin Gaye was still alive, would he have helped his mother get out of an abusive relationship? And I think sometimes like, obviously, this book is about gun violence in itself, but, like, there's a lot of other things that can lead towards gun violence, especially in marriages. And it starts off with toxicity and abusiveness in the family. Now, would it have been easier? Would it have been something that wouldn't have happened if there wasn't a gun in the house? I think it would be a less likely version of Marvin Gaye's death if there was no gun in the house. And and so I think that's the time where we're just like, "Oh, okay. Let's dissect this a little more." So something that I did want to point out right here. So Arthur or Art Kellerman, he was a 29-year-old physician looked up from his epidemiology textbook when the news crashed over the radio. He caught the eye of one of his classmates, who was staring back at him and muttered, "This is nuts." At the time, in April 1984, he was at the University of Washington studying public health. So Kellerman, a tall, lanky man with a distinct country drawl, had been inspired to become a doctor after shadowing Dr. Hiram Moore, his father's best friend since childhood, in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, during the 1970s. Moore was a black physician who began his medical practice in the segregated South in the late 1940s. Shadowing Moore, one day on his hospital rounds, a young Kellerman confided that his chances of getting into medical school were slim because of his poor freshman grades at Rhodes College. So then, obviously, this itself, so like it says right here, Gaye's murder prompted Kellerman to think about gun violence not only as the emergency room issue, but also as a public health dilemma. Kellerman spoke to his friend over the murmurings of the radio. There are all these guns in houses. A lot of them are kept for protection, and yet it seems like every other day you hear about someone shooting their wife or a son gets shot by his father. Surely somebody has looked at a gun in the home as a risk factor or a protection factor for violent death. Nobody had thought of it. And I think still to this day, we are starting to see the issue with having guns in the home. Especially like to like bring this and connect it to something that's happened recently. Take the Oxford shootings. Take that for example. That was a gun that was bought for him by his parents. So I think it's good to have a not only an emergency room perspective on it, but also a public health perspective on it. It's very important.